Hey folks, welcome back to Dan's Auto Diagnostics and Repair. Today we got a 2011 Cadillac CTS4 with a 3.6, and it's here today because of an overheating issue. I checked it out earlier today and I did a pressure test on it, make sure it wasn't leaking or anything. It held pressure, but it was getting hot really quick, so I'm thinking either water pump or thermostat. Let's go take a look and see what's going on. Here we are next morning, working back on the Cadillac. I had to get a F-150 out the door. So now we got this one in the bay and we're gonna see what's going on. Now she's stone cold, didn't start it at all, so we're gonna hook up a scan tool to it. We're gonna check the engine coolant temperature and see if it agrees with the temperature outside. All right, I got my little temperature probe. I'm just going to put that on the roof of the car, and here I can see it's 57.7 degrees. The weather app just said 59. Yeah, so 59 on the weather app, and the probe says 57. We're going to get into ECM here. Read data stream, engine data, and engine coolant temp. 60.8 degrees on the engine coolant temp. So that's reporting correctly. Now we got to look into a water pump or a thermostat. Now that we know that the sensor is reporting correctly, we're going to check the water pump. And how we're going to do that is, I got this connected to the expansion tank here. This is a reservoir. I just filled it up with water. I'm going to go and start the vehicle, and I'm going to see if we get any pressure up in here, or any bubbles or any movement at all. If we don't, then we know we got a bad water pump. All right, I'm gonna rev it up. We'll see if we get any movement here. We got a bubble, but nothing substantial. I'd definitely like to see a lot more than that. Another test you can do to check the water pump is to run it, get it up to temperature. Ours is 174 right now, and turn the heat on full blast. We're up to 90 here, and I can barely feel any heat coming out. So we're gonna let her get up to 200, and we're gonna see if we get anything better, but she should be pouring out hot right now. And I also hear something coming from under here. The water pump is right there. That might be the water pump, I'm not sure, but this is definitely looking like a water pump issue. 183.2 degrees. Barely any heat. No bubbles coming out of there. All cold. I'm calling a water pump. All right, first thing we got to do is we got to take off the air duct. And then we're probably going to be this radiator hose back here to get to the water pump back there. Let's see how this goes. Get the connector first. Loosen the clamps. Got a hose that's off back there. Oh. Yeah, look at that. Just slides out nice and easy. Alright. Man, I'd hate to take that out of the way. Gotta get to it somehow. I have to drain the coolant anyway, so I'm going to take off this hose. Take this hose out of my way. And I believe I'm going to take off the throttle body. Take that connector off. And yeah, get after them hoses. When you have a tight spot like this, and you can't get your channel locks in there to clamp that hose, you got to use the right tool. And what this does is it pulls that clamp. So you put these little latches on the front and the back, and then you squeeze the handle. Here on the actual tool, there's a little lock right there. So you can set the tool down, and then you can just manipulate that hose clamp. It's basically off. So, nice tool. Now sometimes it doesn't quite squeeze it enough to get over the bell end. So it'll squeeze it enough to get it into an area where you can use the channel locks for something else. So I'm going to take off the throttle body, get it out of my way. Just 4 bolts. Already took out one. When you take that off, make sure your gasket comes with it. Now that's going to give us room to get in there. It's about all the room we can get. So hopefully this ain't too bad. I'm going to try to get an impact on these and see if I can't get them out. There's a special holding tool that goes on 2 of the bolts, and then that'll hold it still so it doesn't spin while you get the other bolts out. But I'm going to try to impact and get them loose. Let's see if this works out for us. Oh yeah, perfect. Probably should have just loosened them up, but I went a little far. Now I got to take the belt off. Very easy tensioner to get loose. You just get you a 1/2 inch drive, stick it in that hole there, turn it, and then you can pull this belt off. There's that. Then you release it. And that's it. You can just take your screws the rest of the way out. And now the pump. Pay attention to where you're getting them out of, because they might be different sizes. All right, I believe that's all the bolts. Let me make sure I got my pan in place. All right, I got the pan in place. Let's see if we can get her off. There she is. Doesn't look bad to me, but it seemed to be working. Let's take a look at our gasket here. That came off pretty good. Excellent. You gotta be sure to clean all your gasket surfaces off. I'm just using a little conditioning wheel. It's pretty gentle. I managed to get my borescope all the way to the thermostat housing in the back of the motor. How sweet is that, huh? Doesn't really tell us anything, but it is really cool. Man, it's gonna suck to get back there. You know, looking at this water pump, it just doesn't seem bad. I see a little corrosion and maybe something starting to go bad there. Should probably replace it anyway, but I still don't see how that wouldn't work. I think we're gonna have to go after that thermostat as well, and preventative maintenance. Just get one of these, because we can see that starting to fail. Look at where we gotta get to get this done. Way back in there. Barely even see it. It's like down in there. Wow. This is not going to be fun. Look at this crazy stuff. That's where our thermostat is. Back of the motor. We got these heater hoses to take off from that thermostat housing, and then we got to take the thermostat housing off. That is crazy. Look at that shot of it. It's like it's in the bell housing. That's it though. Right off the rip, I think I'm just going to get this out of my way. That hood's going to be in our way too, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this little clip loose, pull it off the ball. That way I can open it up a lot further. That's better. I took loose the purge valve. Got that out of the way. The connector. And another connector in here. Not really sure what it's for. But I've just taken off this little safety lock for the fuel line. It actually goes into here like this, and then just snaps over the pipe. So now we got to get a tool to get that fuel line off. Let's see which one. I don't know if you can see that, but it says 3/8 on there because that's a 3/8 line. So we got the 3/8 tool, and that tool This goes around the line and in there and spreads apart those retainers, and then you can slide that hose off. Well, now that I moved a bunch of crap out of the way, you can see it now. Of course, nothing is going smooth. You can barely see, but there's this bracket that I had to take loose, and there's this cover. You just can't even see anything. And it's so tight back there, so I opted to take off the cowl and the windshield wipers. I took the nuts off of them, and of course they're stuck on there. So I had to come up with this contraption to pull them out. There you go. That's that tool. Now finally, get the wipers off. What a drag. If you're wondering where to get this little tool that I just used to take the wiper blades off, or the wiper arms, it's actually a front end service tool set. And so yeah, she just goes right in there. That's what I used. Now to take this cowl off, I think, I don't know, maybe it's an 8 or a 7 right there. Another one right there, and then over yonder. Let's get them off. Alright, that's that. Now I still have this in my way. Wonder if I can get that off without too much trouble. Looks like there's a couple bolts back in here. Probably, I don't know. Maybe these two. Let's give it a shot. We've come this far. Alright, let's see if it gives us the room. Yeah, that looks good. Well, it gave us a lot more room in here. Let's see. See if I can get this off. Oh man. Oh, we got a clip right there. There it is. That guy was in the way. Over there with the rest of the parts. And then there's this padding. Let's see. Ah, man. Everything is in the way. Gotta dig it out of there. Wow. Alright, we're getting closer. Now I got this pipe here. We gotta take this bolt off, get this pipe out, and then we can pull that housing out. Try to get everything out of the way. I was finally able to separate this line from the housing. Now there's the prize. There's the prize. That's what we've been through all this trouble for. Holy crap. Look at that corrosion in there. Both inlets. Wow. Now I got the thermostat out of there. It was pretty frozen in there. I had to take a screwdriver just to manipulate it. I think I might see if I can get a thermostat housing too. This is, I could clean it up, but getting that thermostat back on there is a bear. We'll see. Yeah, looks like I got her cleaned up pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll just get the thermostat and the gasket and the 2 seals for these inlet pipes or outlet pipes. Alright, I got the new thermostat, but these are an absolute bear to get in the housing. So let me show you how I do it to make it a little easier. I put it in a vise, and I got something underneath it so it's not sliding down, because I don't really want to compress this real tight. I don't want to damage the housing. So I got something underneath it so it doesn't go down, and the jaws just lock it into place. Okay, I got a hose tool. This helps you to get vacuum hoses off and everything. So there's that tool. And then here's this tool that helps me get those plastic retainers out. So I take these two in a conjunction. So what I'll do, I'll put that there. You got to get these 2 ears and these 2 little grooves over here, right under here. Let me get you in closer. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll push this down with my hand, get those in there, get the first pair in, spread them, and then I'll get the second pair in and help spread them. And then I'll get them lined up with those grooves that they go in and just turn it right in. Nice and easy. Other than that, you're going to have a huge problem getting that in there. See, here's those little grooves that they slide into, so you gotta push them down, turn it in, and she's in. There's the very elusive O-rings. Can't get these anywhere. Let me show you where they go. Right there on those pipes. That is the inlet pipes. That's one. That's the other. You see how crusty that is? So I gotta clean those all up. Get new O-rings for them. Probably gonna have to go to the dealer. And then put those back in there. I just got off the phone with a Chevy dealer trying to get those O-rings for the inlet pipes. And they want $18, almost $20 for the small one, almost $25 for the big one. And they're in Dallas, Texas somewhere, and they would have to be ordered. So I cleaned the other O-rings up pretty good. It seems like they're gonna be fine. Taking a little bit of a chance, but they looked good, so I'm gonna do it. This is a pretty big job to have that go wrong and have to redo, but let's get after it. So there's that O-ring, and the other one I got in there already. I just gotta put the bolt on right there. That bolt holds that pipe in there, and then same deal here. I got a Duralast thermostat, not OEM, probably be $8,000, but if you need that number, it's there. Well, there she is, installed. Got the 2 pipes in. Wish me luck on that. Now to install the water pump. I want to leave all that open as I can in case I need to go back in there. So we're going to install the water pump. Here's our new water pump with the new bolts, because these are torque to yield bolts. Torque to yield, which means single use fasteners. And there's the gasket. Now, it doesn't look like that gasket would hold water. Looks like it needs a sealant, but you figured it would say it here on all data. It just says, carefully clean the water pump sealing surfaces, install the new water pump seal. And then here's the red caution notes about the torque to yield bolts, single use fasteners, and then a tightening sequence with the torque specs. So I'm just going to go with some sealant, because I don't trust that gasket to seal it without sealant. Alright, we got the old water pump and thermostat housing sealant. Let's break it out, put a little on it, and bolt it up. Alright, there's the water pump. Nice and tight. You know what to say, better safe than sorry, right? I'm just gonna go nice and light here. Then do it again on this side. Alrighty then. That should do her. Now torque it to spec. And now for the pulley. Now I'm going to put the belt on and torque it to spec. Sorry, the camera fell down while I was doing it, but there it is. Now I'm going to clean this thing up because that's, look at all that, pretty nasty. There we go, all nice and clean. Even on the bottom. Now the rest of this stuff, like the purge valve, the fuel line, pretty easy. This just clicks in. Boom, that's done. That just clicks in right there. And then you have, that hose goes somewhere else. Then there's these connectors here. Here's your purge line. I'll just leave it be because I just want to run it. Make sure there's no leaks. So I'm just gonna hook up the rest of these lines here, hook up the throttle body, get her to where I can just run her, fill this thing with coolant, and check for leaks. Alright, the top hose is on. Now I gotta put on the throttle body. Before I do that, I'm gonna clean it up real good because that's dirty. Much better, huh? Nice. Hopefully everything holds. And if it doesn't work, it's a whole do-over. Yeah, that's kind of like it. Alright, it looks like I have all the necessary things on there to make it run. So I'm going to fill her up with coolant and see what we got. Now on this car and many other cars, you got to do what they call a vacuum fill on the cooling system, because there's a lot of different air pockets in there that could be created just filling it normally, and you don't get coolant in there and it doesn't cool the system efficiently. So you need to vacuum fill it. So what you do is you put coolant in a bucket or with some kind of reservoir, and you vacuum down the cooling system. You put a vacuum on it and then just basically suck all that coolant in there. You suck it all the way down to, sometimes the hoses on the cooling system will collapse, and you put about, I don't know, like maybe 25 mg or something like that, the vacuum or whatever it is. And then once it hits zero, once you're filling it and it hits zero, you should be done. So that will eliminate all the air pockets in the cooling system. You'll fill it completely. Now, as you can see, I got a lot of adapters. So I want to know which one's for my car without having to try 30 different ones. They have a nice little pamphlet here that gives you all the makes and models and everything. So we got the Cadillac here, CTS, and that is number 21, which is this guy here. So we go over to the reservoir. And put our adapter on there. It comes with a nice little wrench, so you can get these on good and tight. Alright. We got our device here. We got our suction hose here. This goes onto the adapter we just put in. This one goes to shop air, and that sucks everything out. Little pro tip: if your hose is curled up and it stays stiff like that, take a heat gun to it. That'll straighten it right out. Alright, we got our bucket full of the antifreeze. We got our adapter set. Now we're going to make sure that this valve is off and this valve is off. Put our shop air on. Normally there's a little hose on that just goes off to the side, but we don't have one. And this is also a lot better if you have a valve, a shut-off valve here. We don't. But anyway, you're going to open this up, make sure this is closed. I don't know if you can see that. See how this is sucking down? We want to suck that down to about 25 Hg. We're going to go just a little more. We're going to leave it there, just make sure that we don't lose our vacuum. That's where you want it, about 25 Hg. And then we're going to open this valve here and start filling it. And when you're doing this, make sure you don't run out of antifreeze down here. You don't want to get any air in there. It's kind of like AC work. So make sure that this is topped off at all times. I got a lid on that because it's cottonwood season and we got all these things flying around, and I don't want that in the bucket or in the AC system. I'm ready with my other gallon of pre-mixed. Let's go fill it. You see how our radiator hose has collapsed. It's flat now. Don't worry about that. That's totally normal. Now we're going to open this valve here. Going to make sure we're completely submerged in the coolant. And there it goes. And when that gauge gets to 0, we should be good. Alright, there we are. We're down to 0. Got plenty left. We're golden. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect everything. See what we got. Alright, looking good in there. Let's run it. Alright, she's a runner. No leaks so far. It's all looking good. Alright, let's get her up to temperature. See what we got. Now, looks like we did good. Got up to about 210 in that area, as you can see. And then back to 204.8. So, that's a fix. Well, she's at operating temperature, been running for a while. No leaks there. No leaks there. A huge success. No leaks at the water pump. Yeah, no leaks underneath. That is a success. Well, time to put this thing back together. All right, now everything's in. This plate and that foam piece is an absolute bear to get in. Hope y'all never have to do this. Now let's put on the cowl and the windshield wipers and close it all up. Torque and spec. And it's 83 foot-pounds, 112 Newton meters. Well, she's all tightened up. Time for a test drive. Before the test drive, I decided to check the oil, and it's a little bit low. Alright, just fired it up, about to take off. 161.6 is the temperature. 115,160 miles on this beast. Let's take her for a rip. We're up to 201. 204.8. Alright folks, that's going to be it for this one. Another one in the books. Boy, that was a bear, I'll tell you. That's probably one of the hardest water pump and thermostat jobs I've ever done. The water pump was easy, but the thermostat was very difficult. So if you like that one or learned anything, like the vacuum fill, then hit the like and subscribe. I'm at over 270 subscribers now, so you guys are awesome. Thanks for your support, and if you're not subscribing already, please do so, and I'll see you on the next one. Little bonus footage. I'm gonna back out of this parking lot. Is that cool or what? Caddies are cool.